and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are introducing our new die's mini picture frames, so let's go ahead and check it out. This die set comes with 4 different styles of frames, which you can either have horizontally or vertically, as you can see here. And then we've also got the interior for those frames and some cute little picture hangers as well. So we've got a dotted picture hanger and then kind of a simple picture hanger there. And then we've got some little quote unquote nails. So you can use the circle to be the nail. You can also use the bow or the heart as well. So they're really, really cute. Those little interior pieces you can add or not, and you can see what a cute look it is when you add them because you've got the stitching on both the outside and the inside too. So I really like that bold look and all of that stitching. So now it's time to make a card with these cute little picture frames. So this first card is going to have the idea of kind of like an art gallery wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut a picture frame, a hanger, and a little nail out of some Guava Cardstock. I'm also going to do it from some sticky note cardstock in the different style of oval frame. And then I'll also do it from some mermaid cardstock. Now, as you can see, we've got the interiors for those frames, but this time we're going to do something a little bit different because I want it to look like there's some white behind the frames. So how I'm going to do that is actually just put my frame onto some white cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and trace that. And so I'm going to trace all 3 of my frames. So I'll trace the oval, the square, and the circle. And so this is going to be a little guide to help me cut a white piece that can go behind it instead of an inlaid piece. But we'll do an inlaid piece in just a little while. So when I cut these out, what I do is I just kind of eyeball about 1/8 of an inch around that pencil line that I drew. And it doesn't have to be perfect because no one's ever going to see just how messy my little cutting is here. So I'll just kind of go around that oval with kind of an 1/8 inch border, and then I'm going to repeat that for the circle and the square. Once I have all of my pieces trimmed out, I'll just take an eraser to those pencil lines and no one will know those were ever there either. So once I have those pencil lines all erased, I want to start adding my little characters to my frames because my idea is that this is kind of like a family picture frame wall, right? So we've got our cute little characters there from Hey There, and they're going to be on their little family art gallery wall. So I'm going to lay the little pig there onto the circle, and then I'll just add some liquid glue to the inner edge of that circle frame and lay that right on top. And now I've got a cute little picture frame of my pig, which just cracks me up. I'm going to repeat the same idea with my little cow. So I'm going to add some adhesive to my cow, lay him on top of that white piece that I freehand cut earlier, and then I've got his little legs are actually going to be sticking off the frame. So I'm just going to trim those off so that they don't hang outside of the pink picture frame. And then once again, I can add a little liquid glue to that frame and then lay that frame on top. Now for the goat, I'm going to do this in a little bit of a different way, and both ways work. It's just kind of a personal preference thing. So I'm going to add a little glue to the bottom of the frame, and then I'm going to attach the goat to the frame. And that kind of helps me see exactly what placement I want to put him, especially in the oval, which you want to make sure it's straight. So I'm going to kind of place him there, attach him to the back of the frame. Then I'll add glue all over the frame and the goat, and then I can lay that on top of the white piece there for the background. So both ways work, and they're both really awesome. So here I've got my cute little frames, and now we need to hang them. So I'm going to add a little tape to the back of my frame, and then take that hanger piece that I've die cut from the same colored cardstock and then stick that to the back of the frame. I'm going to repeat that with the other frames as well. So I'm going to add my little pink hanger on there, and then I'll add the mermaid colored hanger on the one with the pig. Now to kind of make it look like an art gallery wall, the nail that I'm going to use is going to be different on each one. So I'm going to add a little drop of glue there to the top of the hanger, and then for that one I'm going to add the little circle nail. Then for the oval, I'll add the bow, which I think might be my favorite because it's just so cute. And then for the cow, I'll add the heart. And I really like the kind of different hanger. It looks really, really sweet. And I just can't get over how cute these little picture frames are. It just makes me giggle every time I think of like a little farm family portrait wall. So next I'm going to take out my Gotta Have gingham, and I'm going to use the gray gingham in the diagonal style. And I'm going to die cut that with a large dotted rectangle. I've also created a card base that's a standard size, 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I'm just going to add some adhesive to that pattern paper and lay that right on top. Then I'm going to use my Misty to stamp my sentiment, which is also from Hey There, and it's Hey There from the whole herd, which is really, really cute. So I'm going to stamp that there, and then I'll add some foam squares to the back of all my frames and add them to my card. And oh, it's so cute. It's so much fun. And so you could change what stamp sets you use. You could make little scenes in each one. You could put the aliens or the frogs or any other stamps that you have in the frames, and it's just adorable. Next, I'm recreating a gorgeous card by Audrey, and I've die cut the square frame from white cardstock, and this time we're going to use those little interior inlaid pieces. And so to add some color to those, I'm going to use my foam ink blending tool and some inks. So in this case, I'm using just some peacock ink, and I'm starting darker towards the bottom and then lighter towards the top for kind of like a little gradient sky effect. I'm using some Blue Jay ink on this one, and I really love that color. It's just so gorgeous. Then here I'm using some carrot ink, and then for the last one, I'm going to use guava. Now I'm going to take all my little frames there and kind of put them in place to help guide me where I'm going to stamp my hashtag miss you from Simply Sentiments. So I've got those frames kind of in place, and then I'm going to stamp my little sentiment there, and then now I can glue these frames on. So I'm adding a little liquid glue to the back, and I'm going to lay them into a nice little square grid. Now this time we're not going to use the hangers, and that's what I really love about this set is that you can use the frames as just like little frames, or in this case they almost look like postage stamps, or you can add the little hangers and make them look more like an art gallery type wall type frame. So I love that you can really play around with it and get multiple looks with the die set. So for my scenes here, I'm going to be using Life is Good and Ahoy Matey to make some cute summary images. I've stamped and die cut a bunch of images, and there's a little hill there, a little sandy hill in Life is Good. And so I'm going to lay that onto my little interior pieces there, my little squares. I'm going to add some glue, and then what I'm going to do is just trim off any excess, and it's going to look like that little sandy hill is a part of our little square frame here. So I'll just trim off any excess, and it's a really, really cute look. Then all I need to do is just drop these little squares into their frame since we use the same die to cut both the interior and the frame. So it looks really, really cute and really finished, and I love the pop of color on this kind of tone-on-tone white background. So I'm just going to drop those little squares in. Then I'll add some foam dots to my little stamped and die cut images over there, and then I can layer those on top. And I just think this is so gorgeous. It's a really cute way to kind of show off a bunch of like kind of the tinier stamps that are included in some of the sets. And I love that it almost feels like a postage stamp and really goes along with that kind of miss you summer vacation kind of feel. Now, next up, I'm going to be recreating a beautiful card by Yanea that is actually a completely die-cut card, so it's kind of fun. So I'm using my Really Rainbow paper pack here, and I'm going to be using a ton of the frames and the hangers and the different little nails for them and die-cutting different paper from this pack. So I'll start off here with this pretty purple paper. Then I'm going to move on to this gradient, and I wanted more towards the red or the yellow, so I kind of laid that over there to get that look, and then you'll see the frame has kind of this cool gradient once it's die cut. Then I'm going to use the green paper, and so I just love seeing these little frames just appear with their little hangers. And I'm cutting the hangers and the nail all out of the same color so that it all kind of matches, especially since we're putting a lot of color on this card. I wanted to keep each frame to its own color. So there I've got the yellow, and then last but not least, we've got a little oval in the pink. Now the next step is to take all of these frames and kind of lay them around my card. This is a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I want them coming off the edge. So I'm trying to create kind of a little pattern there. I know my middle one is going to be my die cut word sentiment that's going to say smile. So I've got that one kind of in the middle-ish, and then I'm laying the rest kind of around it to see how they're going to look. Once I have them in place, I'm going to add some glue to the little hangers and then put those hangers in place. I'm just going to use my scissors to kind of help guide it to the perfect placement. Then I can add my little nail. And so I'm going to repeat the same idea for all of these frames, making sure that some parts hang off and some don't. Now for the frames, I'm going to add foam squares to the back of them because the popped up frame really gives it a lot of dimension. It looks really cool. So I actually cut down my little foam squares into thin little strips and laid those on there, and then I can pop that foam. I only added foam to one side since I'm going to be trimming off the other. So I added some foam squares to that yellow one. Now I'm going to repeat the same idea with the oval one. We're going to glue down the hanger and then the nail, and then we can add some foam squares to the back of that oval one and pop it up with for a ton of dimension. And then here we're going to go in fast motion and repeat the same thing. So we're adding the hanger with glue and then the frame with some foam dots. You can see just how cute this kind of little gallery wall is turning out. Now I'm going to take my scissors and cut off any of the excess that I have on the outside. And so that's going to make it look like this wall kind of continues on and we're just getting a little snapshot of it. After I've trimmed all of my frames, it's time to fill those frames, although honestly it looks pretty cool even without anything in the frames. So I'm using my Gotta Have gingham paper, my Really Rainbow paper, and my Perfectly Plaid spring paper. I've taken dies from other sets to fill these frames. So that smile is from Selfie frames, the heart is from the tiny gift box, the butterfly is from the mini pop-up butterflies, and the bow is from Put a Bow on It. And so you could use any kind of tiny dies that you have around to die cut paper that kind of coordinates with each frame. And so you'll see that I'm laying those in and letting some of the pieces hang off the edge again. To create my bow, I'm going to round the edges around my pen there. I'll add some glue in the center, and then I'll put one side of the bow down, and I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. Once that's dry, I can add some glue to that center strip there, and then I can wrap that around the bow, and it gives it a nice finished look. Once I wrap that around the bow, I like to use some tweezers to kind of hold it all in place as it dries, and that makes the bow just hold perfectly and look really awesome. So I'm going to keep adding my cute little butterflies and bows and hearts. I love how sweet and girly all of this is. Then I'm going to add my word smile there, which is going to be my sentiment for my card. And I'll also add the tiny little dot for the eye on top too. And so I'm going to use my little pokey tool there to help me hold that in place. And then I can go ahead and add my bows. And I think that they're really a nice addition because they already have a little bit of a three-dimensional quality, so it adds some nice kind of punch to the card. Then I'm just going to trim off any excess, which is really just the butterfly and the heart there and then the kind of heart frame. I'm going to add some tape to a standard size card that's 5.5 by 4.25 and lay that on top, and my card is done. It was so fun to make a card with just dies and to get to use a ton of papers from my pattern paper pack, and this card is just so happy and fun. And I love seeing that you can get 3 totally different looks with the same die set, which is really, really cool. We have some incredible cards by the design team, and I love this card by Elise and how she created sweet family portraits using those cute little ducks from Rub-a-Dub-Dub. I love this card by Audrey so much, and it's the one that I recreated today. Those bright colors are just so happy and sweet. I love this card by Lynette because it looks like the bunny is painting the picture, and it just makes me smile. This card by Yanea is so gorgeous, and it's the one that I recreated today. Oh my goodness, it's just beautiful. These cards by Nicole are so awesome. I love how the Slow Down and Joy characters are hanging out in their picture frames, and then when you open it, you can see their little bums on the inside, which is just too cute. And then here we have a card by Jen that had a similar idea. The little guy is popping out. In this case, she didn't use the picture hanger, just used the little frame, and then there he is on the inside. So I cannot wait to see your cards with this set and see your awesome gallery walls, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today and have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!